The invitation arrived on heavy cardstock with gold embossing. You are cordially invited to honor Dr. Richard Williams for his 35 years of dedication to pediatric oncology research. The Williams Family Medical Research Center. Saturday, May 18, 7 p.m. Black tie. I studied the invitation from my office at Williams Biotech Industries, looking out over the city from the 38th floor. The Williams Family Medical Research Center. They'd named it after our family, after Dad's legacy in cancer research. What they didn't know was that I'd written the $50 million check that built it. My assistant, Patricia, knocked softly. Dr. Williams, the quarterly board meeting materials are ready. Also, Forbes wants to confirm the interview about your philanthropic work. Tell them I'll do it next month after Dad's ceremony. I don't want the publicity before Saturday. Understood. And the foundation president called again. Dr. Morrison wants to meet with you before the event to discuss the reveal. Schedule it for Friday afternoon. Patricia hesitated. Are you sure about this approach? Surprising your family so publicly? I smiled. Patricia, my family has spent 15 years pitying me. They deserve a public correction. She left and I returned to reviewing the research center plans. The building had been my passion project for 3 years. A state-of-the-art facility dedicated to pediatric cancer research, named in honor of my father's life work. The irony was almost poetic. Dad would be honored in a building funded by the daughter his family considered a charity case. My phone buzzed. A text from my brother Kevin. Sophie, can you manage $200 for Dad's gift? We're all chipping in for a nice watch. I know money's tight for you, but every bit helps. I stared at the message. Kevin thought $200 was a stretch for me. Kevin, who had no idea I'd just approved a $12 million research grant for 3 different cancer labs. Kevin, who didn't know my biotech company was valued at $890 million. Kevin, who genuinely believed I needed the family's monthly rent help. I texted back, I'll contribute. The rent help had started innocently enough. 15 years ago, fresh out of my PhD program, I'd been living in a small apartment while starting my research company. My family had assumed I was struggling. After all, I'd turned down a prestigious position at Johns Hopkins to start my own venture. When Mom casually mentioned they could help with rent if needed, I'd politely declined. But they insisted. Kevin organized it. $100 a month from each family member deposited directly into my account. I'd tried to refuse, tried to explain I didn't need it, but they interpreted my refusal as pride. Don't be stubborn, Sophie. Family helps family. So I accepted the $400 monthly deposits. And I donated every penny to cancer research charities. 15 years of their help had become $72,000 in charitable donations they didn't know about. Meanwhile, I built Williams Biotech from a one-room lab into a major pharmaceutical company. We developed 3 breakthrough treatments for pediatric cancers, licensed them to major pharma companies, and generated enough revenue to fund my real passion. Pure research untainted by profit motives. The Williams Family Medical Research Center was that dream realized. A $50 million facility where researchers could pursue innovative treatments without worrying about commercial viability. Where pediatric oncology could advance without being limited by pharmaceutical industry timelines. And on Saturday my family would finally learn the truth. Friday afternoon I met with Dr. James Morrison, the foundation president at the research center. We stood in the main atrium, a soaring space with glass walls, natural light flooding the research labs visible beyond. Dr. Williams, we can handle this however you prefer, James said. I can simply mention your donation during the program or... I want the full reveal, I said. You'll announce the building's major donor during Dad's recognition. You'll invite me to speak. You'll make it clear that this facility exists because of my contribution. Your family doesn't know? They think I'm their charity case. They send me rent money every month because they believe I can barely afford my apartment. James's eyes widened. But you founded Williams Biotech. You're on the Forbes list of top biotech entrepreneurs. My family doesn't read Forbes. They read Facebook posts about Kevin's dental practice and my sister Lauren's interior design business. They're not interested in my work. They just know I didn't take this safe, academic position 15 years ago. This will be quite a shock for them. That's the point, James. My father dedicated his life to pediatric oncology. He saved countless children. He deserves to be honored. And he deserves to know that his daughter, the one his family pities, built him a world-class research center to continue his legacy. James smiled. The speech is scheduled for 8 p.m. right after the award presentation. I'll introduce you as our founding donor. Perfect. Saturday evening I dressed carefully. A simple black gown, elegant but not flashy. Modest jewelry. Hair in a classic updo. The kind of outfit that said, making an effort, but not wealthy philanthropist who just donated $50 million. I drove myself to the research center in my 7-year-old Prius, parking among the Mercedes and BMWs in the lot. The building looked spectacular, lit up against the evening sky, banners announcing Dad's awards ceremony, valets directing the arriving guests. Inside, the main hall had been transformed. Round tables for 300 people, a stage with a podium, screens showing a slideshow of Dad's career highlights. White roses everywhere. Mom's favorite. My family was already there, gathered near the front. Dad looked distinguished in his tuxedo, clearly emotional about the honor. Mom was radiant. Kevin and his wife Jennifer stood nearby with their kids. My sister Lauren and her husband Mark completed the family group. I approached and Mom spotted me first. Sophie, you look lovely. That's a nice dress. Did you rent it? No, I bought it. Oh, well, it's very pretty. Budget-friendly, I hope. Kevin came over and hugged me. Hey sis, thanks for contributing to Dad's gift. We got him a Rolex, he'll love it. I'm glad. Lauren air-kissed near my cheek. Sophie, I'm so glad you could make it. I know events like this can be expensive. The ticket price, the outfit, parking. If you need help with costs, just let me know. I'm fine, Lauren. We were seated at a table near the front, family table naturally. As the room filled with prominent doctors, researchers, foundation board members, and philanthropists, our table became a center of conversation. Kevin held court discussing his dental practice expansion. Lauren talked about her latest high-end interior design project, a mansion in the suburbs. They were successful, comfortable, proud of their accomplishments. And they were completely oblivious to mine. The program began. Dr. Morrison took the stage, welcoming everyone to the Williams Family Medical Research Center. He spoke about the importance of pediatric cancer research, the lives saved, the families helped. This facility represents hope, he said. Hope for children fighting cancer. Hope for families seeking cures. Hope for researchers pursuing breakthroughs. And tonight, we honor a man who has embodied that hope for 35 years. The slideshow played, Dad's career highlights, patients he'd saved, research he'd published, awards he'd won. The room applauded warmly. Then Dr. Morrison invited Dad to the stage. The standing ovation lasted 3 minutes. Dad wiped his eyes, clearly overcome. I don't deserve this, Dad said into the microphone. But I'm grateful. Pediatric oncology has been my life's work. Every child we save makes it worthwhile. Every family we help makes the late nights and difficult cases meaningful. He spoke for 10 minutes about his career, his hopes for future research, his gratitude for this facility that would continue the work. This research center is everything I dreamed of, Dad said. State-of-the-art equipment, dedicated researchers, funding for innovative treatments. I'm honored to have my family's name associated with it. Our table applauded enthusiastically. Kevin leaned over to me. This is incredible. Dad must be so proud. I wish we could have contributed more to making this happen, but with 3 kids and the practice expansion, money's tight for us too. I nodded sympathetically. That's when Dr. Morrison returned to the microphone. Dr. Williams, before you sit down, there's something important we need to acknowledge, he said. This research center, this beautiful facility that will save countless lives, exists because of an extraordinary act of generosity. Dad looked confused. 18 months ago, Morrison continued, we received an unprecedented donation. $50 million. The largest single contribution in our foundation's history. This gift funded the construction of this building, equipped our laboratories, and established an endowment for ongoing research. The room was silent, everyone listening. Tonight, I want to publicly thank our founding donor. Morrison looked directly at our table. Dr. Sophia Williams, would you please stand? Time seemed to stop. Kevin's face went blank. Lauren's jaw dropped. Mom gasped. Dad stared at me from the stage, clearly confused. I stood slowly. Dr. Williams, Morrison continued, you donated $50 million to build this research center. You funded every laboratory, every piece of equipment, every research grant. You made your father's dream a reality. The room erupted in applause. Kevin grabbed my arm. Sophie, what is he talking about? He's talking about my donation, I said calmly. Your donation? $50 million? That's impossible. You can't even afford rent without our help. Morrison's voice cut through the noise. Dr. Williams, founder and CEO of Williams Biotech Industries, is one of the nation's leading biotech entrepreneurs. Her company has developed breakthrough treatments for pediatric cancers, generating revenue that she's channeled into philanthropic work. He gestured toward the screens, which suddenly displayed my photo, a professional headshot from a Forbes article. Next to it, Dr. Sophia Williams, Ph.D., founder and CEO Williams Biotech Industries. Company valuation, $890 million. Personal net worth, $340 million. Lauren made a strangled sound. Dr. Williams has made philanthropy her mission, Morrison continued. This research center is her largest single gift, but she's also endowed 3 cancer research chairs at major universities, funded 15 doctoral fellowships, and donated to 17 different pediatric oncology programs nationwide. Her total charitable giving over the past decade exceeds $120 million. Kevin's hand fell from my arm. Dr. Williams, Morrison said warmly, would you please join us on stage? We'd like to hear from you. I walked toward the stage, very aware of 300 people watching me. My family's eyes burned into my back. Morrison met me at the steps, offering his hand to help me up. On stage, I stood next to my father, who was staring at me like he'd never seen me before. Sophie, he whispered. Is this real? Dad. It's real. Morrison handed me the microphone and stepped back. I looked out at the audience. Researchers, doctors, philanthropists, and my family sitting at the front table, frozen in shock. Thank you, Dr. Morrison, I began. 15 years ago, I made a choice that confused my family. I turned down a prestigious position at Johns Hopkins to start my own research company. People thought I was crazy. They thought I was throwing away a secure career to chase an impossible dream. I glanced at my family. My family worried about me. They thought I was struggling. They insisted on helping with my rent, sending me money every month because they believed I couldn't make it on my own. I tried to tell them I didn't need help, but they wouldn't listen. So for 15 years, I've been receiving $400 a month from my family. Kevin looked mortified. What my family doesn't know is that I donated every penny of that money to cancer research charities. Over 15 years, their rent help became $72,000 in charitable donations. They were helping cancer patients. They just didn't know it. The audience smiled. The truth is, I didn't need their help. Williams Biotech has been successful beyond my wildest expectations. We've developed treatments that have saved lives. We've licensed our research to major pharmaceutical companies. We've built a profitable enterprise. I paused, choosing my words carefully. But profit was never the goal. My father taught me that medicine is about helping people, not making money. So I took every dollar Williams Biotech generated and asked, how can this save more lives? How can this fund better research? How can this continue my father's legacy? I gestured to the building around us. This research center is the answer. $50 million to build a facility where researchers can pursue innovative treatments without worrying about commercial pressure. Where brilliant minds can chase breakthroughs that might not generate profits but will absolutely save lives. Dad was crying now, silent tears streaming down his face. Dad, you've spent 35 years saving children, I said, looking directly at him. You've given everything to pediatric oncology. This building is my gift to you. A place where your work continues, where the next generation of researchers can build on your foundation, where children will be saved because you dedicated your life to this mission. The audience stood applauding. But I kept my eyes on my father. I named it the Williams Family Medical Research Center because our family's legacy is saving lives. Your legacy, Dad. And I wanted to honor that. Dad crossed the stage and pulled me into a crushing hug. Sophie, I had no idea. No idea what you'd built, what you'd accomplished, what you'd done. I know, I whispered. None of you did. Morrison gave us a moment, then gestured for quiet. Ladies and gentlemen, we have one more reveal. Dr. Williams, would you like to tell everyone about the building itself? I returned to the microphone, still standing next to Dad. This facility sits on property I purchased 3 years ago, I said. The building was designed and constructed through Williams Biotech's development division. The equipment was purchased through our research procurement network. The endowment is managed by our foundation. I smiled at the audience. What I'm saying is, I don't just donate to this research center. I own it. The building, the land, the equipment, all of it. This is the Williams Family Medical Research Center, named after my father's legacy, built with my fortune, dedicated to the mission he taught me. The applause was thunderous. I looked down at my family's table. Kevin sat with his head in his hands. Lauren was crying. Mom stared at me with an expression of complete shock. After the ceremony, after the speeches and the presentations and the formal program, after Dad received his award and the audience had moved to cocktails and conversation, my family found me in a quiet corridor. Kevin spoke first. Sophie, I don't even know what to say. You could start with an apology, I suggested. I'm sorry. God, I'm so sorry. We've been sending you rent money for 15 years. $400 a month. And you're worth $340 million. $342 million as of last quarter, I corrected. But who's counting? Lauren was still crying. We treated you like a charity case. We pitied you. We worried about you. And all this time, you were the most successful person in the family. Success isn't about money, I said. It's about impact. Dad saved thousands of lives through his research. That's success. I'm just trying to continue that legacy. Mom finally found her voice. Sophie, why didn't you tell us? Why let us think you were struggling? I tried to tell you, Mom. Constantly. I invited you to our company's product launches. Nobody came. I sent you articles about our breakthrough treatments. Nobody read them. I tried to explain what Williams Biotech was doing. Nobody listened. But surely. Mom, 3 years ago I told you I was building this research center. You said, "That's nice, honey, are you helping with the fundraising?" I said I was the primary donor. You said, "Every little bit helps." You literally could not imagine that I had $50 million to donate. She flinched. Dad joined us, still emotional. Sophie, I'm ashamed. I'm your father and I didn't know what you'd accomplished. I didn't know you'd built this empire. I didn't know you'd done all this in my honor. You were busy saving lives, Dad. That's more important than paying attention to your adult daughter's career. It's not more important than knowing my child, he said firmly. You're extraordinary, Sophie. And I missed it. I missed 15 years of your success because I was too focused on my own work to pay attention to yours. Kevin pulled out his phone, showing me his banking app. I'm canceling the monthly transfers. No more rent help. Keep sending them, I said. But know that every dollar goes to cancer research. You're not helping me, you're helping the patients who benefit from the charities I support. He stared at me. You really have been donating it all? Every penny. For 15 years. Lauren laughed through her tears. You turned our condescending charity into actual charity. That's brilliant and humiliating all at once. That was the idea. Dr. Morrison approached, smiling. Dr. Williams, several board members want to meet you. Also, there's a donor from California who's interested in endowing a research chair. And the mayor is here. She wants to discuss your philanthropic work in the city. I'll be right there. I turned back to my family. I need to go. Networking with philanthropists is part of the job. Wait, Mom said. Can we talk? Really talk? About your life, your work, your company? I want to understand what you've built. Do you? Or do you want to brag to your friends that your daughter is a biotech CEO worth hundreds of millions? She flinched again. Both probably. But mostly the first one. I want to know my daughter. I studied her face, looking for sincerity. I saw genuine regret. Lunch next week, I said. But Mom, you have to actually listen. Not just wait for your turn to talk. Actually ask questions and care about the answers. I promise. Kevin spoke up. Can I come? I want to learn about Williams Biotech. I want to understand what you do. What I do is develop treatments for childhood cancers that pharmaceutical companies won't pursue because they're not profitable enough. I identify promising research, fund it, perfect it, and then license it to big pharma at minimal cost so the treatments reach patients who need them. That's incredible. That's the job. Williams Biotech isn't about making money, it's about saving lives and making enough money to save more lives. Lauren asked, the $890 million valuation, where does that come from if you're not focused on profits? We're profitable, just not profit maximized. We license our treatments, we have research contracts, we consult for major pharma companies. We make plenty of money. We just choose to reinvest most of it in research and philanthropy rather than enriching shareholders. Who are the shareholders? Kevin asked. Me. I own 86% of the company. The other 14% is owned by key employees and early investors. No outside shareholders demanding quarterly returns, no pressure to choose profits over patients. Just a mission-driven company trying to cure cancer. Dad was looking at me with something like awe. Sophie, you built exactly what I always dreamed of. A research enterprise free from commercial pressure, focused entirely on saving lives. I learned from the best, Dad. Morrison cleared his throat gently. Dr. Williams, the California donor, is getting impatient. I'm coming. I looked at my family one last time. Lunch next week. Really talk. But I need you to be ready to see me differently, not as the struggling daughter you pity, but as the CEO and philanthropist I actually am. We're ready, Kevin said. We'll see. I spent the next hour networking with donors, researchers, and foundation board members. Several people wanted to discuss collaboration opportunities. The California donor committed $10 million for a new research chair. The mayor wanted to feature my philanthropic work in her economic development campaign. Through it all, I was aware of my family watching from across the room. Kevin Googling me frantically on his phone. Lauren reading articles about Williams Biotech. Mom and Dad talking quietly, clearly processing the evening's revelations. Around 10 p.m. as the event wound down, I found Dad standing alone in the main atrium, looking up at the building's soaring architecture. It's beautiful, he said as I joined him. This research center. It's everything I could have imagined. That was the goal. The Williams name is on the building. Our name, Dad. Your legacy, my funding, our family's contribution to fighting pediatric cancer. He turned to me. I failed you, Sophie. As a father, I failed to see what you were building. I failed to recognize your success. I failed to support you when you needed it. You didn't fail me, Dad. You taught me what matters. Saving lives, not making money. Helping others, not helping yourself. You taught me that medicine is a calling, not a career. Everything I've built comes from lessons you taught me. But I didn't believe in you when you started Williams Biotech. No, you didn't. You thought I was making a mistake. But Dad, your skepticism made me stronger. Your doubt made me more determined. I had to prove, to myself, to you, to everyone, that this could work. You proved it. Yes. And along the way I saved lives. Our treatments have helped over 30,000 pediatric cancer patients. 30,000 children who are alive because I didn't take the safe academic job. 30,000 families who have more time together because I chased the impossible dream. Dad was crying again. I'm so proud of you. I know, Dad. I know you are now. That's enough. We stood together in the atrium of the research center I'd built. The building I owned, funded by the fortune I'd created, dedicated to the mission he taught me. Sophie, Dad said quietly, the monthly money we send. Kevin said you donate it all to cancer research. Every penny. That's very generous. But it's also a bit of a rebuke, isn't it? You're showing us that our charity was misdirected. Yes. We deserved that. Yes, you did. He smiled despite the tears. My brilliant, successful, wealthy daughter let her family send her $400 a month and then used it to fund cancer research. That's the most Sophie thing I've ever heard. I learned efficiency from you, Dad. Why let money go to waste when it could save lives? We walked toward the exit together. Kevin, Lauren, and Mom were waiting near the doors. We're heading out, Kevin said. But Sophie, thank you. For tonight, for this building, for continuing Dad's work. And I'm sorry, so sorry, for treating you like you needed our help. Your hearts were in the right place, I said. You just didn't have all the information. Because we never asked for it, Lauren added. We assumed instead of asking. We pitted instead of supporting. That changes now. We'll see, I said again. Mom hugged me tightly. Lunch next week. Listen. Really listen. Good. As they left, Morrison appeared one last time. Dr. Williams, remarkable evening. The donors are excited, the researchers are energized, and your family finally knows the truth. Mission accomplished. One question: why now? Why reveal yourself tonight? I looked around the research center. My building, my gift, my contribution to fighting the disease that had defined my father's career. Because Dad deserved to know, I said simply. He deserved to know that his daughter heard his lessons, that she built something meaningful, that she used her success to continue his mission. He deserved to be honored in a building created by the daughter who learned everything from him. Even though they thought you were their charity case? Especially because they thought that. They needed to understand that charity isn't always what it looks like. That success takes many forms. That sometimes the person you pity is actually the person saving the world. Morrison smiled. Well, you certainly made your point. Yes. Yes, I did. I walked to my 7-year-old Prius in the parking lot, past the Mercedes and BMWs, past the valets who now knew I owned the building they'd been working at all night. My phone buzzed. Kevin's text: just read your Forbes profile. The quiet philanthropist who's changing pediatric oncology. Sophie, you're amazing. I'm sorry we never saw it. Then Lauren, your company developed the treatment that saved my friend's daughter. I never connected it to you. I never knew. Thank you for what you do. Then Mom, I love you. I'm proud of you. And I'm sorry I didn't know you well enough to see what you'd accomplished. Then Dad, thank you for the building. Thank you for continuing my work. Thank you for being the remarkable woman you are. I love you, Sophie. I sat in my Prius and cried, not from sadness but from relief. Relief that they finally knew. Relief that I didn't have to hide anymore. Relief that my father understood what I'd built in his honor. The Williams Family Medical Research Center would save thousands of lives. It would advance pediatric oncology. It would continue my father's legacy. And it would stand as proof that the family charity case was actually the family philanthropist. That the daughter they pitted was actually the daughter who changed the world. That sometimes, the person who seems to need the most help is actually the person providing it. I drove home to my modest apartment. The one they thought I could barely afford, the one I kept because I didn't need a mansion when children were dying of cancer. The family charity case who happened to be worth $342 million. The struggling daughter who just donated $50 million to build a research center. The one who needed help who was actually helping everyone. They'd finally learned the truth. And tomorrow I'd wake up and continue the work. Developing treatments, funding research, saving lives. Because that's what the charity case did. She saved the world one donation at a time.